Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. You're going to get 5 to 10 minutes of polite conversation followed by some sort of excuse to remove themselves from the situation. I got to go find my friends. I got to go dance. I got to go get a drink. I got to go to the bathroom. I got to go shoot myself in the fucking face. It was nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. I personally did my first live program coaching social skills in January of 2003. So, and I've been doing these pretty much every other weekend roughly for the past 20 years. Is anyone in here actually 20 years old? 21? Yeah, so you were 1 year old when I started doing this professionally. We actually go out in public and you'll be interacting and introducing yourself to strangers, and I'll be kind of leading you along, coaching you along, and give you very detailed third-person objective subjective, but relatively objective feedback. You are your own instrument when you're trying to communicate. If you're trying to learn to play the guitar, you could, clearly look at your fingers on the fretboards and see what's going on there. But when your instrument is your face, your voice, and your body, you don't see your own face very often. Unless there's a mirror there or you're seeing it on video subsequently. But it's very difficult to know what it is you're actually doing. So I think that a big part of this type of coaching is getting somebody to become experientially aware of the gap between what they think they're projecting and what's being perceived by other people. And then of course, then taking steps to narrow that gap. So sort of the lens between your inner experience and what people are actually perceiving is as close to the same as possible. It's never going to be identical because simply due to the limitations of our communication system. Like, how do we communicate? I mean, you have 5 senses, right? What are the 5 senses? Taste, touch, sight, smell, sound. Now, you're usually not communicating by smell, hopefully, right? Like, smell me, bro. Like, that leaves us sight, touch, and sound. So the face, the voice, and the body. Now, how many people have ever heard themselves on like an audio recording and thought it sounded dramatically different to what you think your voice sounds like? We've all had that kind of experience. So again, in a very similar way, it's very important to gain a mastery of what you're actually projecting. And there's a variety of factors that come into play that are complicating this issue. What's kind of your main challenge or concern around social communicating that you kind of want to dig into and resolve?
I want to get better at small talk.
Conversational skill, like literally just the ins and outs of how to start a conversation in a way that's likely to be well received, how to move past banal information exchange to deeper sort of unveiling about the person's opinions, the person's feelings, to create an actual connection. You want to strike up a conversation with some stranger at a bar that piques your interest for whatever reason, or at a networking event, and you just go into that. So what do you do? Where do you live? Again, this boring information exchange. Most people that are out socially on a given, like let's say a Saturday night, they're trying to get away from that workaday banal existence. They're trying to unwind from their stressful work week. So anything that sort of smacks of this very logical, dry exchange, they're probably not going to be too interested in that. They're going to be like, oh God, more of this. I went to this school. Yeah, yes, I live here. It's fun. Yeah, it's great. I love it. Well, hey, anyway, I got to go. It's nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. You're just going to hear this like, you're going to get 5 to 10 minutes of polite conversation followed by some sort of excuse to remove themselves from the situation. Like, I got to go find my friends. I got to go dance. I got to go get a drink. I got to go to the bathroom. I got to go shoot myself in the fucking face. It was nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. And that's going to happen very consistently. That's going to happen again and 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 again until you reach a sort of tipping point of emotional leverage. Because why do people default to the logical information exchange?
Lack of self-awareness.
I think they just don't know what else to do. They don't know what else to do. It's like, well, what do I talk about? It's like, I don't know what to talk about. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to say. There's always something to say. There's always something to do. Has anyone here ever done improvisational, like comedy workshop or improv work? It can be very difficult. In improv, they work with a lot of the times what's called gibberish, a nonsensical mishmash of syllables that has no meaning. It is a language of not of verbal syntax, but of musicality, But yeah, blah. Yeah. So again, when many people, when they're faced with that blank page where there is no right or wrong answer, they're completely at a loss. Most people in a conversation or in an interaction, let's just call it, are completely at a loss unless they are told precisely what to do or say. So look, I had a friend who passed away recently, and this guy was he was an ex-student who kind of really mastered these skills. And he said to me once, he said, Jeff, you know what it is? Everybody's bored. When you're out talking to people, everybody's bored. You got to give them something different to talk about, and then make it easy for them to, go with you and not feel weird about it, or go along with your proposition or your invitation and not feel weird about it. So everybody's bored. Give them something different to talk about. That is how you make yourself emotionally relevant to people. You have to slice through the RAS. Now, a lot of you are probably like self-help junkies here, self-development junkies. Who knows what RAS is? What is that?
Reticular activation.
And what is it? So it's
what you're focused on primarily.
We're constantly bombarded by external sensory input. And that's the part of your brain that filters out all the unnecessary stuff and chooses what to focus on. So, I live on a very busy street in San Francisco, and there's traffic going by. None of that will wake me up at night. But that stupid alarm on my phone, ding, 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 whatever it is, I will attune to that immediately. I'll wake up to that. But there could be a crazy homeless person screaming bloody murder and cutting his own hand off on fentanyl out front, which happens frequently. There, as he takes a shit. There could be a vehicular accident. I won't wake up for any of that because my RES has deemed that that's unimportant. So when you are out, to make yourself emotionally relevant, what is the criteria for what the RES determines is important? So when you go up, if they can figure out what the hell, it's like, oh, this. Like, nobody takes a meeting about something they already understand. So the second that they can kind of suss out, like, oh, it's one of these, but like dumb conversations that's going to go nowhere, they just immediately tune out. So again, you've got, like, I had a student who was very extremely logical, and he worked, he was some sort of engineer or some software engineer, something like that. And very, very logical. And so his whole demeanor is just suffused with logic. And so he was just getting these very sort of milk with toast reactions again and again and again. And so I said, here, go up and say this to the next person that you introduce yourself to. Say, hi, my name's Satan. I'm a professional mermaid. He's like, what? And he felt a lot of inhibition against doing that because it doesn't make sense. He's like, that doesn't make sense. I'm like, yeah, exactly. And so he did that, and the person's like, what? And just started laughing. That was the best interaction he'd had all night up to that point. And because they're just like, what? What is this? Now, of course, the thing that you say right up front isn't necessarily even that important. It's like, just keep talking. I always tell people, KFT, keep fucking talking. That's the key to actually making people stop and speak with you in a lot of cases. If somebody's kind of walking by and you just say one little sentence, it's very, very easy for them to simply be like, oh, thank you, and just keep going. But if you keep speaking, a lot of times they'll be like, oh, wait, what? And they'll stop because it's triggering a sort of cultural conditioning that if somebody speaks to you, it's polite to reply to them. So, for example, if you're on the street and somebody's walking by, like I said, I very often see people and they'll try to stop person walking by, they'll be like, hey, I like your thing. I like your thing. You say, I like your thing? They'll be like, well, no, if one says I like their thing, they're probably going to be like, again, thank you. Now, another thing I see people do sometimes, they'll be like, like your thing, and they don't stop, and the person will start like following them. And just like, what? I'm like, why are you following? Like, what's the best case scenario with I like your thing? Yeah, they're like, oh, you liked my thing? Like, they're like, I like your thing. Oh, you did? Oh, amazing. Who are you? Who are you? Can I maybe do something for you? Can I perhaps, provide a massage? That's not going to happen. Here's the thing. You know that it's not going to happen, yet why do people do it?
Fear of rejection.
Well, I don't know. I mean, honestly, I don't even think it's a thought process. I just think that they're like, it's like they're trying to get out without looking bad. I think many people, they're just trying to get out without looking bad in conversations. They're just trying to, even when it's clearly not going anywhere, they want to save face. Another thing, people are so in here that they're so inside of their own body and head when they're conversing and they're going out meeting people. It's all about you, isn't it? It's like, what is the big story about what it means if this person that I didn't know existed 2 minutes ago doesn't think I'm hilarious and awesome? What is the story? What does it mean for my ego? What does it mean? It means nothing. It means literally nothing. Particularly, look, I get it. If you're at work, you're at a family function, yes, those relationships mean something. If you're just out meeting random people, whether they don't like your joke, or they don't like your sense of humor, or they don't like your appearance, or they don't like your clothing, whatever it is, that has zero quantifiable effect on your day-to-day life experience. Zero. Probably less than zero, because you're actually building reference experiences and it's enhancing it. Right? So the thing is, so if you kept fucking talking, a lot of the times what'll happen is this. It'll be like let's say late at night, out last night, people are walking by, the clubs have closed, people are kind of just sauntering by. I'm like, hey, excuse me, can I ask you a question really quick? Do you live here? I was attempting to make a poor nutritional decision right now, and I'm not from the area, and I thought I could enlist your help in making this poor nutritional decision to perhaps get some sort of gastrointestinal jihad at one of these taco trucks. There's so many options. You got the faux P.F. Chang's, you got the shawarma, you've got the barbecue, you've got this, you've got that. I mean, you look like somebody, a woman of culture, and perhaps you'd have a more discerning eye than me being. Look, you just keep like just keep talking. And what will happen? Not all the time, but a lot of the time, people will go like this. They'll be like, huh? And they'll be like, and they realize, oh, they're still saying something, and then they're like, well, yeah, I don't know. And then they come back. And then at which point you're like, well, you look very well put together this evening. You can take it wherever you want from there.